Hello, everyone, and welcome to this edition of the ZapSec Modernization Series. I'm Carl Schneider, Vice President of ZapSec, and with me is Anup Tuppad, our Senior Network Architect. Today, we want to give you a straight practitioner view on network segmentation, specifically where to start, what to skip, and how to build a maturity path that doesn't collapse under its own exception backlog by month 3.
And to set this up properly, zero trust frameworks tell you to segment everything at the beginning, right? And production reality tells you to segment the right things first, or you will segment nothing successfully, right? And we will walk through this journey today, and the zone enforcement model, the anti-patterns to skip, and the sequences that actually works. We are going to see all of that.
Awesome. And this slide in particular shows the segmentation journey in 7 steps, but walk us through it and tell us why the order matters so much.
The order is the whole point, right? Like each step has a specific technical reason for sitting where it does right now. And skipping ahead is the most common reason. I would say segmentation's program stall. The step one, you can see, the step one is a crown jewel applications. The 10 to 12 applications whose compromise would produce the highest business impact. Your ERP, a patient record database, like I'm taking an example, right, of different vendors or different situations, like identity provider, payment gateway, your domain controllers, identify these first and map their data flow and then segment them before touching anything else. This is your highest security ROI per policy rule written, right? And one policy that protects your patient records or database is worth more than 50 policies around your internal Wikipedia, I would say.
Absolutely, yeah.
Yeah. And step two is your risk user groups, like privileged admin accounts, contractor access networks, your third-party vendor connections. These carry, disproportionate lateral movement risk because they already hold elevated permissions. Let's segment these from production before you attempt any workload to workload policy. And I would like to add a compromise admin credentials while a workload policy is still being built gives an attacker a direct path to everything. Right. And step 3 is application tier boundaries, like web tier, app tier, your database tier, and 3 hard enforcement boundaries here. Right. Deny all at each, right, and permit only the explicit traffic that needs to cross. Otherwise, a breach landing in the web tier cannot reach the database tier without crossing an enforced boundary. Mm-hmm. That is the structural security we need to have, and not a perimeter security, right? And if we have that structural security, then the lateral movement do not happen. We will block the lateral movement at one breach, right? Mm-hmm. And the next step 4 is the prerequisite most teams skip, like VXLAN plus EVPN fabric overlay. Workload to workload segmentation requires an overlay fabric. If you're still on flat VLAN architecture, or microsegmentation becomes a software overlay on top of a structural problem, mm-hmm. right? When you hit an edge case, the exception never gets resolved because the underlying architecture cannot support the boundary.
Right. So if I'm hearing you right, if a CIO asks why the segmentation program stalled, the answer is most often that this step 4 was never put in place.
Exactly right. And it shows up in month 3, not month 1, right? And in the step 5, like you can see, the policy automation platform, 500 VMs is over 120,000 unique policy pairs. Wow. Like manual policy management above 50 segments is, I would say, mathematically unsustainable at all, right? You need programmatic policy definition and deployment before you attempt microsegmentation, right? Ask me like ask me how I know, because teams that reach step five with a spreadsheet, spend the next 6 months managing exceptions instead of enforcing policies. Because
Yeah, I'm
I've seen that
sure.
in most. Yeah, I've seen that in most organizations when they do this mistake. And then when step six and seven are nano stability and CI/CD integrations, right? You stabilize microsegmentation before you even attempt, process level enforcement. Nano on top of unstable micro creates a recursive exception and management that no team can, sustain that. And at the nano tier, policy is defined as code and deployed through your CI/CD pipeline. This is a DevOps program, not a security project as well. And I would like to add, do not start, step six and seven until step five is working in the production.
Yeah, that makes total sense because the lesson for me that runs through all of this is sequence the journey or pay for it later.
Exactly, exactly. Yeah.
All right, so and this may be the most technically dense slide I've ever seen. But
Yeah.
walk us through it and tell us what the architects in the room should be looking at first.
So this is the representation of a matrix. I mean, if you remember the Matrix film, it's exactly
Right?
like that. It looks a little confusing, but it's pretty simple as well, right? That diagram shows the same maturity model in a different format. Concentric security zones, and where an application's placement in the diagram is a policy decision, not a coincidence, right? It starts from the center and work outwards, right? Let's go with zone one. Zone one is tier one macro, hard enforcement. The policy label is on the ring, is explicit on screen. VRFs are your crown jewels, VLAN 10 or, for example, ACL 101, deny any and permit app tier only. That is the basic concept here. Every devices in zone one lives in dedicated VRF. That is the routing. Basically, we are isolating the routing from here and the rest of the network. The ACL is a whitelist, and everything is denied unless explicitly permitted, like ERP prod, patient records, or identity provider, even your payment gateways, domain controllers, etc. And no exception without a CISO sign off here, right? And when we jump to zone two, is the tier one, tier two boundary, inspect and permit here. Like VXLAN, an EVPN control plane, policy app tier to database tier only. That is the access we need to give. And the applications sitting here are API gateway productions, your HR systems, your
Hmm.
CRM productions, and I would say, and this is a DevOps pipeline as well. Critically, I would say this scores between 7.0 to 7.8, where out of 10, east-west flows are mapped at 68%, and the firewall rules at the boundary permits TCP from app tier to database tier on a specific ports and denies everything else, right? So, and then we jump to zone three, is a monitor mode, right? It's the green belt. Uh, I would say day 19 of 30, when you start this, the ACL logging is only going to happen, and no deny rules set on the outside boundary. And
Hmm.
NetFlow is exporting your flow collectors and everything else. And you can see there is web DMZ 1 and 2, and customer portal. Partner VPN gateways are placed here, and the backup system sits here at the critically 6 to 6.5, I would say. And we are mapping traffic behavior before enforcing anything. And there is no deny rules go in until east-west baseline is complete. And finally, the outer ring, which is zone 4, which is deferred, like print servers, your internal wiki, your conference room AVs, legacy monitoring, everything sits there. Exception risk exceeds security benefits at this tier. They stay on existing VLAN boundaries while zone 1 to 3 stabilize rest of the stuff, right? And the foundation under everything is a leaf and spine fabric, like leaf 1, leaf 2, and spine 1, spine 2 through 4, and VXLAN plus EVPN underlay, and 4, your VRFs are active in
Hmm.
that zone particularly. Uh, and the panel on the right side, what you're seeing, like zone enforced, exception count, all of that, what I want every architect to look at it first, like exception counters, your 47 rules. For example, the target is below 5% of total rules, and we are currently above, gate. The number on the right side of the screen is your technical debt score. Uh,
Hmm.
if it stays above gate, you do not advance to the next year.
Yeah. So the dashboard isn't decoration. It's actually the gate.
Yeah, you go through one by one, right? The zone
Hmm.
one, you first configure the zone one and you segment the zone one, and then you go to segment zone two, then you segment the zone three, and then you segment the zone four. That's how it should go. And it is the gate. And like you said, the zone you place an application in is a policy decision. The path through the zones is the maturity model.
Awesome. Okay.
Yeah.
So let's talk about where the rubber meets the road here. This left-hand column are the things to skip based on what you've been saying, and the right-hand column is what needs to be sequenced. But let's walk through the left column first, please.
Yeah, so the four anti-patterns, right? Each one of is a specific failure mode I have seen in production. Number one is universal day one microsegmentation, starting workload to workload policy before even doing the macro segmentation. Once the macro segmentation is stable, you can go to the micro segmentation. But here the macro is stable, which creates a recursive exception management. Every new workload, needs a policy from day one. The team downs and the enforcement never even starts. And number two is operating at scale without programmatic control. Manual policy management above 50 segments is unstable or unsustainable as well. If you cannot define and deploy policy programmatically, you are not ready for the micro tier as well. And number three is zero trust without identity integration. Segmentation without identity aware policy is a firewall rule with extra steps.
Mm,
And then you have to do RPAC or equivalent must, feed the policy decision without, identity binding at all. You are segmenting by IP in an environment where IPs change constantly. So that is a
right.
no-go at all.
Yeah.
So number four, flat VLAN as the foundation. Microsegmentation on flat layer two is a software overlay or a structural problem. VXLAN plus EVPN is the prerequisite to build the foundation before you even build the policy.
Yeah. Okay. And so the right-hand column, the four execution phases, let's walk through those.
Yeah, this is interesting where, the tier one or phase five, I would say, weeks 1 through 4, discover and classify. Okay. We always discover and classify initially before even we do macro segmentation. Map the crown jewels of applications and then their data flows, document everything, or every existing policy, including exceptions, because that count, is your baseline. Like define what is web, what is the app, and what database tier boundaries are. And then next is, next year two in months 2 to 4, you do macro enforcement and then monitor mode first. And you basically do a macro segmentation and then you monitor them for 30 days before any deny rule activates, right? And then the pass fail gate at this phase is zero, basically unplanned east-west flows between tiers and not reduced to zero at all. Basically, there is no gate existing in this phase. And then when you go to the next phase, then you build RBAC policy integrated with your identity provider. And then this is the step where that converts network segmentation into zero trust enforcement. Without it, you have a segmentation, but no zero trust, right?
Mhm.
And when you go to month 4 to 6, advanced to micro, that's when you need to go to from macro to micro, and then deploy VXLAN plus EVPN on the network, and then onboard policy automation. Start with 20% of the highest risk workloads, and then you decide pass or fail gate at this phase, and then once you decide that exception count below 5% of total rules, above that means the architecture is not ready to advance any further. If it is below, then you're good. If it is above 5%, then it cannot advance to the next stage.
Right. So the sequence is basically the program itself, and these gates should be non-negotiable.
Correct. And segmentation maturity is a journey of 3 tiers. Each tier has a gate. You earn and then you advance, and the calendar doesn't give it to you, right?
Right. Right. All right. So if you have a segmentation program that is stalled or one you're about to start, we generally welcome a conversation about that. We ran this playbook across a major healthcare provider's environment of more than 500 virtual machines, and we have a very specific point of view about where these programs fail and how to prevent that.
Yeah, so reach out to the email address on the screen or connect with us. Either of us on LinkedIn will respond personally.
Yep. Thanks, everyone. Appreciate your time.
Thank you.